When I was at primary school, I remember my English language teacher making us write the word nice on a piece of paper, scrunch it up and throw it into the bin. Thing met a similar fate. Then came and. Finally, we were instructed never to use the same word more than twice in any paragraph, or we would be marked down for poor style. Had Miss Lillywhite taught Shakespeare his craft, out, damned Spot would have been reduced to out, damned Spot, and Lady Macbeth would sound as if she starred in laundry commercials. Blake would never have achieved fame with Tiger Burning Bright. Dickens' Sidney Carton could never have uttered, "It is a far, far better thing that I do than I have ever done. It is a far, far better rest that I go to than I have ever known." Subtle repetition turns the prosaic phrase into poetry. Subtle repetition highlights and emphasizes a point. Another of Miss Lillywhite's rules was, don't list. At the beginning of this week's second Parasha, we have an undeniably dry travelogue. 40 years wandering and 42 journeys with 42 encampments occupy almost 50 verses. There's no TripAdvisor description of the route, the scenery, sights, restaurants or attractions, not a mention of the nightlife or culture. This is Torah as dry as it gets. In introducing this list, which would have raised Miss Lillywhite's fearsome ire, the Torah tells us, "And Moshe wrote their goings out to their journeys according to the Lord, and these are their journeys to their goings out. Vaychtov Moshe et motzaehem lemaasehem al pi Hashem, ve'ele maasehem lemotzaehem." Journeys, goings out, journeys, and a long list. Why the repetition of the phrase? Why the reversal in order? Goings out to their journeys in the first instance, becoming journeys to their goings out, just a few words on. We cannot accuse Hashem of sloppy editing. We cannot scrunch up passages of the Torah and throw them into the bin. The commentators offer a multiplicity of approaches. The Baal HaTurim explains the repetition and reversal to suggest that this teaches that both the journeys and the embarking on each fresh stage were wholly at the direction of the Almighty. Sforno explains that it is as difficult to set off on a journey as to continue it, the struggles to pack, the impetus to set off, and the weariness and wariness on the way. More recently, Rav Shimshon Raphael Hirsch suggested that the setting out on the journey was Hashem's perspective. Hashem is looking ahead to the eventual destination of the Holy Land. For Bnei Yisrael, by contrast, the emphasis was on the journey to each resting place. They didn't know where they were, how far they had to go, how many stages were left. Like so many kids in a car ride, "Are we there yet? When can we stop and get out? Is it long to go?" I suppose that all of us who have travelled any length through life's rich journey are familiar with its journeying and its halts. Sometimes it's the journey that's hard, and the break at the end, a welcome respite. Sometimes the journey carries with it exhilaration. It is the hiatus, the breaks, that drag. This year has seen so many starts and stops to our normal lives. We have experienced disruptions to the routines of work and our home lives. We may have spent more time together with people who matter, and that may have been good, or sometimes a bit too much. We have missed social life, but we may have learnt new hobbies, bought dogs, and baked sourdough. But substantially, it has been tough, not knowing how long it will last or who will be affected. We're not there yet, and don't know how many stages remain. From our perspective, all our voyages begin in the self-same manner, and all of us make a similar final journey to our resting place. And in that journey too, like Dickens' tumbrel, we move and stop, move and stop, move and stop, and move to final rest. Hashem only knows where our journey through life will take us. In this parasha, we learn that even so, the journey matters, and it's important to make the stops and the starts, the weeks and Shabbatot, our terms and our holidays count. We need to be motivated and considerate travellers. We shouldn't be travelling alone. We should be sure to check in with Hashem when we start out and when we stop off and as we journey on our way. Wishing you Shabbat Shalom and good health.